Okay, the final lecture, the final section, data visualization. So we're going to go through just the last bit of flip side velocity tool for like doing the SQL stuff, and then we're going to kind of jump into Microsoft Excel and do a quick visualization. So just before we do that, one thing I wanted to note, I went ahead and changed the title of this so that you could have this URL, which I'll put in the notes. I also went ahead and added this refresh rate to be every 3 hours. So what that does is allow us, every 3 hours, the same query will give us a different 10,000 rows, and we've ordered it by block timestamp. So we'll get the latest 10,000 swaps in our pool. And if you click the API button, there's actually this URL, which if you know JSON, JavaScript, object notation, you will have access to the same URL, but constantly changing data every 3 hours. It'll be your last 10,000 trades. So I'll go ahead and hit download. I downloaded it a little earlier, but let me download it again just to restart it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take these 10,000 trades and we can just do a small analysis real quick just to show you what's possible. So first things first, I'm going to go ahead and save this as an Excel file just because I want to do, like a workbook with visuals and things like that. The next thing I'm going to do is kind of widen this out, and we can see we have our block timestamp. Let's go ahead and make that. Let's see what happens if we make that a number. Interesting. So if we make this a number, we kind of get like a Unix timestamp thing, so we can kind of better order these. So these are 7629.91. These are 762.04. And then we can kind of see it goes up slowly over time over the last 10,000 trades. So that's useful to us to just have it in a transaction order. The next thing I wanted to do was kind of notice that, this is USDC on this side and this is ETH on this side. If we grab some of these transaction IDs, we can actually like double check some of these numbers, which is always good to do. So what I did was I went ahead and grabbed the transaction hash of the first transaction in our Excel thing, so our first row, this one. And then what we see here is this person swapped 600 USDC for 0.387 ETH. So let's see about that. 0.387. This is just a cool thing to check the state, the differences between who has what ETH and who doesn't, and stuff like that. So this person gained 0.387 ETH, and they gave 600 USDC. So this amount here, 600, is how much the pool gained. It's what the receiver sold. And this is negative 0.387 is what the pool lost, which the trader earned. So one thing I wanted to do, also I noticed really quick that these numbers are a little different. Here, 600 USDC, $601. Our amount is 604 cents, and then amount 1, the ETH is 605 here, but Etherscan has it as 585. So just something to think about in general is that sometimes different data sources will have different calculations for things, different aggregations for things. Always good to double check. For simplicity, let's go ahead and keep this though. And what I wanted to do was say, trade gain kind of. So it's actually possible for someone to trade an asset and get more than they kind of were supposed to get. That's called positive slippage. So for example, if you sold USDC, if you were buying ETH by selling USDC and buying ETH, and a bunch of people in front of you in your block were doing the opposite. They're over here just like loading up ETH. They're selling ETH like crazy. And you come in, you might get more ETH than you expected. Positive slippage. Because people just happen to change the price in front of you in the block. So anyway, that goes back to a few lessons ago, but just something to think about in like why this stuff's difficult to calculate, why these numbers might be different, and also why it could totally be positive. It could totally be that you've made money off the trade. So what we'll do is we'll say this person gained if the absolute value of so equals, say if the absolute value of this one is, actually no, we need to figure out direction first. Okay, so let's do this. Amount 0 adjusted. Very interesting. Let's do this. Let's just call this trade delta. So So we don't really necessarily know, like, they might have gained some money, they might have lost some money. But let's see what the average is. So let's look at the difference between these two numbers. The absolute value of this minus the absolute value of this. And what this will tell us is how the difference between these two numbers could lead to a change in the amount of money someone gains. So like I said, the positive slippage. A lot of these are positive, but let me just look really quick if some of these are negative. Okay, we do see some negatives. So we do see people like losing money on some trades and stuff like that, which is what we would expect. Slippage, price impact, and fees, right? So let's just make a simple visual just to show that's possible. Let's let's think, like, on average, should this be 0 roughly? Should the average person be losing on trades? I would think so. Should the average person be gaining on trades? So this is the delta in raw dollars. Let's go ahead and just proportion this out and see delta percent. And just to make it easier for now, we're just going to pick amount 0 and not worry too much about direction and things like that. So adjusting for size, you might wonder how much people typically gain or lose on trades. So 0.89%, 0.77%, some 0%. Some people got like pretty much exactly what they were supposed to get. So let's grab this column and let's just do a little histogram. Interesting. All right, so I'm going to cut this and put it onto its own tab just to make it big. So this is typical trade delta percentage. I wouldn't really label a visual like this, but just to make it easier. Let's see where 0 is on this chart. Okay, so 0 is right here, minus 0.18 to plus 0.13. So yeah, interestingly enough, it's somewhat balanced in how people might get more or less than what they expect. Which I guess makes sense, if you're in a block and you're just kind of put in the block randomly and you're making a trade, it's totally possible you lose when people go in front of you and make the same trade, and it's totally possible if you gain if people go in front of you and they do the opposite trade, which actually works in your favor, helps you out. Okay, so we'll call this our kind of quick analytics dashboard, and now you know how you can pull data from SQL and do some analysis in Excel. Thanks for watching this course. I'm going to go ahead and call it. Again, Carlos Mercado, and I can pull up my LinkedIn for you if you want to see it in any of the notes or anything. Feel free to follow me, add me, and I'm also on Twitter as well. Cool. All right, thanks all.